their experience if they've never done a deal, any questions we have in any of the platforms yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so if you guys are catching this recording, we're going to do Q&A every Wednesday. So come and join us live on Wednesday, same time. Also, same thing Monday, same time. It's always going to be 1:30 my time zone. That's Mountain. So that would be 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central, and 12:30 Pacific. Right. So come join us live on Monday and Wednesday. Monday, we're going to be giving away a free resource as well as a training. Wednesdays are Q&A. So come and join us on all of our different platforms where we are live. There's a link in the lives. If you're on TikTok, we don't have the link but we did do an announcement about this live. So you can go get the link there. And that is the 40-day challenge. If you guys don't know what that is a challenge that I did where I flew across the country. I'd never been there. I didn't use my team, didn't use my reputation where I lived, right? And I turned $1,000 in ad spend into 3 wholesale deals, making $93,000 profit. So it's free to watch. And there's a link in this live description or in the promotion of this live in my TikTok channels. So go grab that. It's free to watch. It lists all the episodes for you. So we're going to do some Q&A today. So chime in where you're from, what experience you have, and any questions you might have. And I'm going to share a question that I got today from my student, actually. So this student is in the Bay Area that asked this question. His name's Abe. And he said, okay, I'm in the Bay Area and I'm concerned that my market is too competitive. It's too competitive to do this where I'm at. And so it's a very common concern if you're starting in real estate wholesaling or real estate investing. You're trying to find properties at a massive discount. You're like, well, there's too much competition. There's too many people doing this. How can I be successful? If I really believed that there was too much competition, if I really believed that if there was more people that started doing this, that would mean they would make less money for me as a wholesaler. I don't believe that's true at all. There is so many deals. I'm not worried about the competition. So the reason that people struggle in certain markets like California, here in Utah, Denver, has nothing to do with the competition. It has everything to do with the law of supply and demand. It's an economic situation. So I'll explain. Let's say a house fixed up is worth $800,000. It's not insane to pull $80,000 in profits off of that deal because there's so much room to pull $80,000. It's only 10% of whatever the house is worth fixed up, right? It's only a 10% profit margin on the deal. But if the house is only worth $150,000, is it possible to pull an $80,000 deal? Sure, but you're going to have to get it for free, basically, right? If it needs any kind of repair. So it's a lot bigger percentage of the deal, right? Your 60% or whatever. I don't even know what the math is, but it's a lot more than 10%. That's for sure. Right. So if houses in an area are worth way more, your average deal size will be way more, and the cost per deal is going to be more as well. Because if you can make $80,000 on a deal, can you spend $10,000 to $20,000 in marketing and still be very profitable? The answer is yes. The problem is many times if you're starting out, you don't have $8,000 to $10,000, $20,000 to spend on marketing to get a deal. And on top of that, you don't have the sales experience and the real estate experience to guarantee that once you do generate that motivated seller lead, that you're going to be able to close and get them to sign the contract and find a buyer and get paid. Right. So you're going to get crushed like as Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. I'm stealing this from him. I'm not calling you. I probably shouldn't even say this, but Mr. Wonderful says you will get crushed like the cockroach that you are. I wouldn't say something like that. That's way too mean, but I think it's hilarious that he does that on Shark Tank. So I want you guys to understand it. If you're going to start doing wholesaling, you have to keep that in mind, that it's depending on your market, it's actually very exciting to be in these higher price markets because you make more money per deal. It doesn't mean you have to spend $20,000 on $10,000 to $20,000 on marketing. It means you have to work a little harder. So you can do what's called driving for dollars and cold calling and hustle that first lead and make 50, 60, $100,000. And then you start dumping more into postcards and marketing and more paid traffic to get your business off the ground. So hopefully that helps answer the question. And the concern is it too competitive? The answer is no. I do over $1 million a year in wholesale fees. Many of my students do. I helped them get their first wholesale deal in less than 3 months, right? If it was too competitive, I couldn't get people results. But let's go ahead and chime in with questions y'all have. Please tell me where you're coming from. What city are you guys in? What experience? Are you just starting out? As well as any questions you might have.
So Rush is asking, text blast script or should I use AI?
Yeah, so you can use AI to generate some text blasting. So I'll run through our process. I don't give my text script to, online. I also don't give my text script to my own students. And the reason for that is the deliverability. I'm constantly having to change my text script for deliverability purposes. So about 5-6 months ago, the government stepped in with new regulations and policies on mass texting. So if you want to set up texting to your marketing lists or your lead list, whether you're buying it or building it from doing driving for dollars or buying from like PropStream, if you're going to text message those leads and see if they want to sell, there's a certain process to do this on a large scale. You can do one by one on your phone, fine. But your number can get flagged as spam likely, and that's not what you want. So we use different phone numbers just that are not associated with our personal number. And we have to register those phone numbers. There's a certain regulations on how to do this properly. So we use a company called uh, oh my, Batch Leads is what it's called. Batch Leads is the system we use. If you guys want to go try them out, use my discount code DFD. Stands for driving for dollars, DFD. But Batch Leads, it goes through the process of how to set up your texting. It takes some time. You have to have a website. You have to have an LLC. You have to have a section in your website where people can register for a text message, basically like a form fill for an offer. So there's certain processes you have to follow to do mass text messaging. So once you set that up, then you also pick your texting templates, and you have to frequently change those out to make sure that the phone carriers are not blocking those as spam messages, that they're actually delivering them. So like AT&T and Verizon will block text messages if you send the same template for too long. So as far as templates go, you're going to have to create those. But as far as setting up text messages, I would assume that you're going to need to set up Batch Leads and get that set up properly. Hopefully that answered that question. I would start with cold calling or postcards first over texting, because texting, you have to register an LLC and you have a website and you have to have 3 months of seasoning on that LLC. It's a pain in the butt.
Cool. So Echo I249 is asking, what exactly is driving for dollars, and what are some unique ways we can find leads?
Beautiful. So driving for dollars is the simple process of finding ugly rundown houses and reaching out to the owner to see if they want to sell. That is what we do, right? So to be successful as a real estate investor of any kind, you have to find properties at a discount, right? You have to find someone that's willing to sell to basically a pawn shop. They want speed and convenience over price. These are tired landlords, people that inherited properties, people that just have a crappy house that won't qualify for traditional financing. They don't want to deal with it. Right. And so what we do is we find those people. We find those people by going, okay, well, what's the common denominator? It is they don't want to deal with the property. So if they don't want to deal with it, the property is a thorn in their side. They don't take care of general maintenance. So we identify the areas that have the investor traffic. It's usually your cheaper housing areas. And we go drive through those areas. We look for physical signs of neglect. We add them to an Excel spreadsheet. I like to do this using the Deal Machine app. I found that it's the most effective tool to add properties. We add 50 to 100 properties every single hour of driving. If you want to try out the Deal Machine app, use the discount code PIN. The reason I say that is you get $100 for free to send postcards or buy phone numbers, right? So if you go build a list, basically it's a Google Maps image. Imagine you're out driving around, you find an ugly house, right? All you have to do is touch that house. It'll upload all the information to an Excel spreadsheet. You can immediately send a postcard to them or just dial them and call them right there, right? So use the Deal Machine app, build your list. That would be my suggestion. That's what driving for dollars is. That's how I get my leads, right? Leads as in people that I want to reach. If they, uh, find someone that wants speed and convenience over price. Hopefully that answered your question well.
Great. Alex MacArthur is asking, if I do join your program, do you reckon you can assist me even if I'm located in the UK?
No, sorry. It's not that I don't like it because you're not from the US. It has nothing to do with that. I wish I could coach people. I have people from Canada and the UK and Australia and stuff that watch my stuff. But a lot of the systems and the tech and the processes that I have you implement, they are US based. Um, and one of the other things is I want my students to be able to meet face to face with the sellers for negotiations. There's something called virtual wholesaling where you buy a list. You can be anywhere in the world. You buy a list and you send the marketing and you talk to them over the phone and you get the signed contract and you have someone find a buyer for you there. I have never seen anyone do it profitably. I've never seen anyone coach or teach someone else and actually getting results for their students. I've seen virtual wholesaling coaches come and then they go because they don't get people results. The mentors that have been around for years, it's usually because they know what they're doing it themselves, and they're helping other people get results. But soon as you start selling stuff and offering mentorship and not get people results, they disappear, right? Because the word gets around pretty quick. They're terrible. So I've never seen a virtual wholesaling coach that's gotten results. I don't teach virtual wholesaling. I teach a very systematic approach to generate motivated sellers where you live and work with them in person. So, yeah, best of luck with to you on that.
Les is asking, when just starting out, how would I approach a cash buyer when trying to build a buyer's list?
You say, hey, do you want to get off market deals? Do you want to buy more investment deals? Right? I'm going to be starting my marketing to find motivated sellers who are willing to sell at a discount, and I pass those deals on to you with meat on the bone. Are you interested? Some of them you have to explain that to people that don't know what wholesaling is. Many of them do at this point, but that's the simplest form. Yep.
Cool. Old School 0311 is asking, I want to get on this train. How can I start?
Yeah. There's some great resources that are free, right? It's great to do your research and do your homework because understanding the basics of what wholesaling is and real estate investing is going to be a good start. So I suggest doing some research. Maybe you already have, right? Because you're saying I'm ready to get started. But for those that don't really know what wholesaling, you're thinking like it would be cool to get into real estate, go check out my podcast. Okay. The podcast is called Driving for Dollars Mastery. Go listen to that podcast. It's going to give you a ton of insight. If you're like, okay, I'm going for this, I'm going to make this happen, you can start taking action and failing forward. I love it. I love that more than anything because at least you're taking action. I tried that for 3 years in my own journey and I fell flat on my face. I was over $30,000 in marketing spend down the drain. I gave up. I gave up for 3 years, and then I met my mentor, Tom Kroll. I hired a mentor within a month and a half of doing my first or of joining his program. I did my first deal. I wholesaled a property for $10,000. 10,000 in my pocket. And then by the end of 8 months, I made over six figures. And then the following 12 months after that, I made just shy of $500,000. The year after that, I did 1.2 million. So hiring a mentor, I think I paid him $9,500 to coach me and teach me, but it was well worth every penny and then some. I believe that the fastest way to get started in anything is to have someone that's been there, done that, and has a proven process to get other people there as well. Right. It's like the best athletes. They have mentors, they have coaches, right? The best of the best at everything have someone to guide them and help them. Even though they're the best of the best, they still have coaches and mentors, right? Because it's impossible to know everything you need to know in a fast enough manner to have the types of results that we want in life. And so I highly suggest getting a mentor. And if I could go back to my younger self and slap myself, I'd say quit trying to reinvent the wheel and hire someone. So I would say hire a mentor. And you may hear this and think, because if I was you guys in your position where you're just starting out, Be like, okay, Zach, well, you're a mentor. You're charging money for mentorship. How can we trust you to say, go hire me? You're just trying to sell me on your program. And I'll say this, if you feel like I'm saying that out of me trying to take your money, go with someone else because you're getting a vibe that I'm not an honest person. I'm not a good person, and go with someone else. So there's 3 rules when coming to hiring a mentor. Okay. First one is, do you like and trust that person? Does he seem like he's trustworthy? Does he seem like your kind of person? Would you enjoy having a cup of coffee? Go listen to my podcast. Go listen to my story. Go look up the other podcast. It's called Real Estate Disruptors with Steve Trang. Listen to my podcast episode where I'm the guest. Hear my story. Hear who I am. And if you get a good vibe, that's step 1, right? Step 2 is that person actually making money? You can uh, go to my websites. You can ask my students. Go to dfdmastery.com. You can go to my website and see all the reviews, right? Because this is stage 3: is are my students getting results? Because it's one thing for me to do it. It's another thing for me to teach it, right? So go look at my reviews, and you could even reach out to those students and ask them, is Zach actually doing wholesaling? Because they have access to my wholesaling team as well, right? That helps coach them. And go do your research on me. So those are the 3 things. Do you vibe with the person? Do they have the ability to do it themselves? Are they doing what you're trying to do? And are they getting results for other people? So that would be my suggestion. If I was starting out, I'd go get a mentor that fit those 3 things.
Carlitos is asking 310K ARV cash, 255K, no repairs needed in Houston. Thoughts?
Say that again.
310K ARV cash, 255K, no repairs needed in Houston. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's not a very good deal because 310,000. I don't have my phone on me to do the math, but $310,000. If I was going to buy the property at 255,000, even if it needs no repairs, I could turn around and list it. It makes no sense. I would just tell them, just list it. If you want to clear 255,000, that's roughly what you're going to clear. Because by the time you pay a real estate agent and holding costs, right? So if I go get a private money loan, right? If I can get money at 7-8% interest, annual interest, I go buy the property, I pay closing costs to buy it, right? Then I sit on it for 2-3 months. I have taxes, insurance, I have utilities, I have the private money loan. I got to pay him back at closing. And then I pay a real estate agent to list it and sell it for me. And maybe there's some concessions on the end buyer wants me to pay some of their closing costs. Well, shit, by the time I sell it, I won't make any profits. Right. And so for me, I want it at a good enough price that I make some good money. So really there's certain people that'll say, sure, I'll sell you my house. I'll sell you my house at what I'd clear for it if I sold it full retail. That's not a motivated seller. That's a savvy, intelligent person that wants as much as possible. And is if you can give him how much he'd make and make it convenient, if he got his cake and got to eat it too, he would do it. Be like, great, good for you, right? Go list it with an agent. Best of luck. Deal with the hassles. I'm not interested. So
Blessed is asking, what do you say when looking for a seller?
So what we do is we find people that have ugly houses, right? We do driving for dollars. And we reach out and say, there's a very simple script. So I give a free resource here. You can go and get my 40-day challenge where you see me have these conversations. You see me take $1,000 of ad spend, do driving for dollars. I get 3 wholesale deals. I make $93,000 on those 3 wholesale deals, right? You get to see these conversations. You see me say, hey, this is Zach. I'm not sure if I have the right number. Are you the owner of XYZ address? Right. And they go, no, who is this? Be like, yeah, this is Zach. Maybe I have the wrong number. Do you know so-and-so? And then I drop the owner's name and they go, oh yeah, that's my aunt or uncle or whatever. Okay. Could I get their contact information or do you know if they want to sell? Right. If I do get the right person, they're like, no, go to hell. I say, okay, fantastic. I'll see you there. And I hang up and I go on to the next one. Right. So what you need to understand is your job is just to see if they want to sell. It's not you're trying to convince someone to sell. If they say, yes, I want to sell, I say, fantastic. Can you tell me about the house? I get more information. Now I want to understand why. What are they looking for? What are their options? I already know it's kind of run down because I built the list, right? And I say, well, Great. Well, it sounds like it's kind of, it needs some updates and stuff, like you said. Why don't you'll probably make more money not working with an investor like me. You might be able to just fix it up, list it with an agent, deal with kind of the hassles. It'll take you way longer, but you'll make more money than selling it to me and let me do the remodel and make the profits. Right? Do you want to sell it as is and just be done with it, even if it's a little less money, or do you want to fix it up and squeeze out as much as possible? That's the next thing, is like, what do they want? They have two options. Do they want to work with you? And what's crazy is people don't believe it's possible. If you don't believe it's possible, that's why I did the 40-day challenge. Go watch it. You'll hear someone, very wealthy investor, day 4, sell me 3 properties. And I said this to Jerry. It was Jerry Tidwell. And I even had Jerry Tidwell on my podcast after the 40-day challenge talking about selling me these properties at a discount. Right? I said, Jerry, they're fixed up. You put new roofs on them. They're great rentals. Like, just either keep them or, maybe even get an agent and list them. You'll make more money that way. I'd be happy to buy them and quick done and you get a cash offer. But is that what you want? He said, Zach, I just don't care anymore. I don't care. You can hear him say that on that 40-day challenge. So you get to see those conversations. So I could tell you what those conversations sound like, but even better, go watch the conversations. Go see them happening from that 40-day challenge. The live that I announced, so I think you're on TikTok. I announced this live on my TikTok channel. Go to those links, the 40-day challenge. It's free. I'm letting you watch the entire challenge for free. I do sell that as well, but I'm giving it to you free today. Okay.
Cool. Where can we find major buyers?
Yeah, there's a couple different places, right? And you'll see me talk about it a little bit on the 40-day challenge, but fast places, Facebook groups. Another one is auction.com. If you go to auction.com, you can find the county courthouse auctions in your local area, and you can go to those county courthouse auctions, go there a little bit before they start, and add the cash buyers to your list. The first wholesale deal I ever did, I found some buyers at the county courthouse auctions, found the wholesale deal next, and blasted an email blast to those cash buyers that I met at the auctions. And I had some guy that I met in my local area that was supposedly an expert, and he's like, "Oh, there's no way a cash buyer will pay that much." One of those guys paid me $10,000 for that deal, and it's because he was a motivated buyer. He needed to move money for tax purposes. He had a 1031 tax exchange. So those are two great ways.
In Oklahoma, I have to get a license to wholesale. Do I have to sign to a brokerage?
I'm not going to give legal advice on here. I'm not a licensed attorney, so I'm not giving legal advice. Let's say that. I got to protect myself legally. Okay. So why do we make money as wholesalers, investors, flippers? It's because we get properties at a discount. In Oklahoma or anywhere in the country, it's not against the law to buy a house. It's not against the law to buy a house. It's not against the law to have a partner that buys a house with you. So there are legal ways to wholesale without doing the traditional wholesale contracts. Because why do we make money as wholesalers? It's because we find someone that's willing to sell for speed and convenience over price. Government regulation does not change the need for this service of selling and buying properties at discounts. So just because it's illegal doesn't mean that you can't make an absolute fortune doing this. You just have to do the process according to local regulation. So if there's people flipping houses, it can be done. We'll just say that.
What do you think about the NAR situation that's going on?
NAR?
Yeah, the big class action lawsuit against.
Oh, against wholesaling. It's the same concept, right? Like man, I'm going to get political. This might get dangerous. That's fine. I don't really care. You might have to unfollow me here. I'm going to get on a soapbox. Government regulation doesn't change a damn thing. It doesn't, right? The big war on drugs in the 70s and 80s, did it get rid of drugs? Nope. Guess what? I went to Sao Paulo, Brazil. I served a Mormon mission. I used to practice that religion. And anyways, I was down there, white shirt and tie, right? Preaching Jesus Christ. And I got held up at gunpoint twice. While I was there, a police helicopter was shot down by an RPG by the drug lords in Rio de Janeiro. Guns are outlawed in Brazil. I have many guns here, and I've never been held up at gunpoint in the United States, ever. I've been held up at gunpoint twice while living in Brazil as a missionary, right? Doing good for the community. So imagine those that are just, out and about. So government regulation doesn't change a thing. It doesn't. It never has and it never will. I'm not saying that. I don't want to get too political here, but just because they come in and say, oh, you can't wholesale, it's silly. Okay. It happens all the time. So wholesaling's existed since before it was even termed wholesaling. Um, Most of the assignment contracts was done in real estate syndications. People would put a property under contract, a big apartment complex, right? They'd put it under contract to buy it, and they have a fund and they have multiple different investors, and they structure the deal with their investors of what percentage of equity they get on this deal, and they go create an LLC or a corporation of some kind and set up the articles of incorporation of who gets what percentage and how it was going to be structured and who does what on the project to get what percentage, right? And so they go under contract with the property, agree with their partners on how it was structured, create the working agreements, create the LLCs, and they would assign the rights to buy that contract or to close on that contract to this new entity that was formed. Assignments were created originally for that purpose, but it's also being used all the way down to single family homes and all the way across. Honestly, it's stupid. All it is the government can come in and write regulations that you have to have a license to practice law, a license to get your general contractor's license, a license to broker properties. Why do they want this? To keep us safe and to keep us from, hurting each other? No, it's so they can tax us without calling it a tax. They want us all to sign up for signing our lives away and giving more and more and more money to government control. Anyways, that's my stance on it. They're trying to get us to have to go get more licensing and more regulation and more taxation without calling it a tax. That's what I think that thing is all about. I think it's BS. So all you real estate brokers that believe in a um, no regulation or less regulation from the government and less tax, you should vote against this law because it's more government control. That's all it is. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. Let's move on because I don't want to annoy or hurt anyone's feelings here.
HG2 Raw is asking, what market are you finding the best success in?
All of them. It's where you do the work. So I have an operation and a team in Utah and a team in Florida, right? But I have successful students all across the country. If you go back and listen to the beginning of this recording, the very first question I asked is related to this, which is what markets are best, or is another market better than others, or is it too competitive where I live? I covered that because it's a very common question. So go catch the recording of this. I don't think on TikTok it'll stay. The recording won't stay. So go to my YouTube channel where I'm also live. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Real Estate Investing with Zach Booth. If you're not on my YouTube, you should subscribe to that. You can catch the recording there to answer that question. We need to be done right on the hour, by the way.
Yeah.
Are we close?
I think that's pretty much all of them.
Okay. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much. Go catch that free resource linked in the description of these lives. It's a 40-day challenge where you get to see it in action. $1,000 in 93. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.